Hi, I'm Sadie Nardini, founder of Core Strength Vinyasa Yoga. Thank you so much for joining me here. Today I'd like to teach you the foundation of all arm balances, which is crow pose, and then kind of play off of that foundation so that no matter what your level, you'll have somewhere to go and an adventure to be had. We'll start in crow and then branch off of it, so please go at your own pace and make sure you're pretty warmed up before you begin the sequence. Beginning in crow pose shows you what the seed of all arm balances is. It's wide open hands, wrist creases facing forward. So you want to make sure that your elbows don't splay out but hug in right behind the wrist line as you walk in, feet together. Bend those elbows and hook your knees high up on the outer arms. So you don't just want to move forward onto the arm bones. You want to squeeze in through the knees and draw up through the back. Then float the heart forward. Notice how my elbows are over my wrists. That's an important physics point. You want to make sure that's always happening. If they go out, it's going to hurt your wrists over time. So draw them in, and forward, and you'll float. And then from here, you might want to come back into Malasana or Child's Pose between these to rest a moment. When you're ready, we'll try a higher pose, which is not crow pose anymore, but crane pose. So to find crane, same setup as crow. Lift the knees higher and bend the elbows more. So you want to get those knees right in that notch outside the armpits, and the very upper arms where they meet the body. So squeezing in and pressing forward as you press the arms back, creating that lock. Lean forward and straighten the arms more and lift the heels even more. Good. Notice how my shoulders had to come forward. So that's the way that you balance the heavier hips here, is to lean those shoulders forward in space. So if they're straight up and down, ain't gonna happen. All right, so from here, let's try a one-legged crow pose. Return to the crow stance, hugging in, and then hugging in so much, you see if you can keep your right knee on the outer right arm and lift your left knee into your navel. And then switch sides. Right? So that draws you into a lot of inner thigh strength and a lot of belly strength. Once you're pretty open here, and I like to squeeze the wrists out between each pose too, so I give a nice little separation of some of that compression that happens in the wrists. You can take the feet wider, bowing more, and hang on behind the heels. So for some of you, you're just going to be here for a while, building strength and flexibility. Drawing into the navel. And if you can, place those hands shoulder distance apart behind the feet, even inside the heels will do it. Squeezing the elbows in so you're still in crow pose arms. You're just rocking back into them. The knees are squeezed at that same place. High up on the upper arms. Squeezing in, lift up through the navel so your seat doesn't just plow down to the floor. Lift up, lift up, lift up. Squeezing in and up. You can either cross the feet here as you squeeze in and up, or release the legs out into Titibasana, firefly pose. Good. Coming back to center, open the legs, and return to the stretch. And return to Malasana, squeeze out your wrists. So the final pose is half crow, turning into a Titibasana leg in the front, a firefly leg like we just did, and the back one's going to fly out behind me, and we're going to come into full Ekapada Kundanyasana. So, bring the feet wide. You can start here, finding that half crow pose leg, almost with the foot is forward. Start to lengthen it out. You're going to come through that crow pose with the back leg, lean way forward, take that leg off, and lengthen it up. Good. And you can come back to downward facing dog pose from there, and breathe. So is that challenging? Yeah, it's pretty challenging. But if you find that seed of crow pose and really work that, you got everything that you need to do all the rest of the poses in time. So work on drawing in and up through your foundation, using your core strength a lot, using those inner thighs. And then maybe try to straighten a leg here and there. And eventually, with enough practice and repetition, you're going to fly in all sorts it brings you. Namaste.